Hello, everyone. This is Ken from Keystroke, and today I want to welcome everyone as we start the relaunch of Linktivity. And the way you get to it is just click on my calendar, or my account, I should say. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out some of the changes that that if you haven't visited for a little while, you're going to notice. So the first thing is obviously the website represents a complete design overhaul, but that doesn't relate to anything functional. So you can see on the back end here, okay, we've got a significant upgrade and modernizing look. Okay, and the moment that we log in, it's continuing that same kind of visual look, modern look throughout, and you're going to see that. So the first thing that you're going to see when you log in is your subscription thing. Now, your subscription expiry. Now, for those people like myself that have a lot of subscriptions, this will display the one that is furthest out. Okay, it's going to give you a brief description, but most of the things here in this paragraph are fairly self-evident across the top here. Okay, and we're going to kind of go through each one of them. So we've covered this. Here's all the different products, as I said, reflected up here as well. So let's go into the Act Web API settings. Okay, so here is where you've got your API settings. Now, here is our API. Here is our database name. Okay, here is my Act user login, and here is where you would enter in the password. Obviously, this is not going to be displayed in clear text, but you type it in, and if this is the first time, you're going to click on Save Changes, and then you're going to click on Test Connection. Okay, now, if for any reason you have difficulty with, getting this authenticated, you're getting some kind of error message, what you can do is you can go to the Keystroke webpage, okay, scroll down, and we have here a web API tester, okay? So I've pulled this up here. I'm just gonna pull my screen here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in my information, okay. Okay, and now I'm going to click on submit. And what this will do is if you're concerned at all that there's an issue with your API, or maybe you're using Act Connect link and it's not working, and you're trying to figure out, if it is the Connect link or the service, this is where you can test it, which is totally separate. So this is indicate we've logged into your web API successfully, your credentials are correct. So with this, you should be able to successfully test your connections here. Now, Vic, you asked about Act v24 and Pro. Right now, the Act Web API is an exclusive subscription benefit, okay? However, Keystroke also developed a technology called CAPI, okay, which is short for Keystroke API. And what that is, a add-on API. It doesn't do anything for any of the other Act features like insights or Act marketing automation. This is strictly an add-on API, okay? But if you were able to select this, and then you put in your Keystroke API, and I'm not going to get into the whole setup of the Keystroke API. We can do another session on that. But you can set this up, put in your Keystroke API and all the other information here. This would allow people that are not subscribers to Act, or pro users, people that are either pro users or perpetual premium users, to have access to API add-ons like the Linktivity series. So we developed this, and it kind of widens the net in terms of people that can get access to it. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. If you are a desktop user without API privileges based on it being pro or off-plan premium, then this is an option for you. That's why we say it supports back to pro or premium v19 and forward, okay? Because we did build that CAPI bridge that allows non-subscribers to access, okay? So with that covered, let's go into the general settings. Okay, so those settings the web API settings would then cover every single Linktivity product that you subscribe after that. We're obviously only focusing on Link2calendar for now, but that will cover, those initial settings would apply to all of them, okay? So we go into the general settings, the display name, Ken Quigley, the primary email, ken@kqc.ca in my case. Now, remember I was talking to you about the ICS and why it was important to have this information in here, because whenever you have an ICS, you've got to have obviously a sender ID, and in that case, this is where this would be. This is where you would put in your default logo, okay, that would be there in the absence of you setting any other logo, okay? So I would put this one in, and again, this is going to be limited to 800 by 150. Okay, if it's round, then you're going to be limited to 150 by 150. Okay, time zone, fairly self-evident. Okay, what are you displaying? What time zone are you displaying your availability in? And then you've got the date format. So the date format is, you know, just because we've got Americans watching this, Canadians watching this, most Commonwealth nations will have day, month, year, big, bigger, biggest, and American common date format is month, day, year. Okay, you can choose that. I actually prefer the American, even though I'm a proud Canadian, I prefer the American format of month, day, year. Okay, now this last one, if I don't explain, is going to be a little hard to understand. So what does it mean by create groups or act group creation? Well, as you will see, I'm going to just bring over a screen here. As you can see here, things like Linktivity events and Linktivity forms, they automatically create groups within ACT. And so let's say you're creating an event or you're creating a form, every single person that signs up will be linked and added to that group. However, if you're like Keystroke and you've got 30 ACT users, everyone's forms will get lumped all together. So what that little checkbox allows you to do is say, for the Linktivity forms, group all of my forms under this email address group. Okay, so this kind of keeps everything nice and orderly. It also eliminates, I think, the fairly common problem of people deleting other people's groups, okay, that contains important data, so that everyone can be kind of subdivided and organized appropriately. The other thing is, a lot of people, when they're first learning it, they'll create a lot of test groups, which really creates a lot of clutter. So that's why we created this little way of organizing all of your groups, you know, by your account, okay? So once you've got
Ken,
this, yep.
Sorry, Ken, quick time zone question, because you were on time zones there. The time zone has to match your time zone?
This is expressing your time zone, yes.
Yes.
So because it's reading the, you're basically saying, what's the time zone of your ACT calendar, okay? And obviously, just in North America, we've got lots of time zones, and we deal with East Coast, West Coast, Central Time, Mountain Time. So we want them to understand, okay, what our ACT calendar is being expressed in.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
yep.
Very good. Okay, so when you're filling this in, you would then click on Save. Okay, now I'm going to skip over Link to Cloud, okay, because that is a feature that we haven't fully released yet, okay, but the account information. So here you put in, you know, your standard information. You can change your password here if you like, and this will indicate your reseller, so on and so forth, okay? So all of this is pretty standard. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over managed subscriptions, which we are going to get to, and go straight to the Link2calendar. And I think this is going to answer a lot of the questions. Now, the first thing is when you create an account, it's going to assign you calendar.linktivity.net/ a long, you know, completely complex alphanumeric name, okay? And you would never, ever be able to remember that. So what we did is we created the option for you to have a user-friendly name, okay? So in my case, it's calendar.linktivity.net/ Ken Quigley. When you're setting it up, all you've got to do is put in what you want, and it could be your first name, last name, both, and then you just click on validate, okay? And this will indicate whether or not it is available, okay? And then if it is available, you click on save, and then that will appear up here as your unique calendar. And I'll show you how handy that is, because if I don't want to go to a link and I'm just saying, just go to my calendar, I can just tell people to go to, calendar.linktivity.net/Ken Quigley. Okay, and that's what you're seeing here, okay, is the long alphanumeric name. You can clearly see there's no way you would ever be able to remember that. Okay, but that's my calendar, and now I've got the ability to easily remember it. Okay, now, so you've got this here. Now, here is where you set your default calendar display, daily or weekly. As I showed you, it doesn't really make a huge difference on mobile. Both are pretty serviceable. In my opinion, though, daily is a little bit easier to render on mobile, but it's not just about mobile, it's also based on your industry. You may find, especially with bigger time blocks, that you want to surface a weekly calendar first. If it's a 30-minute time block, it might make more sense for daily, okay? Now, if you want to have, here's your custom message. We've actually had people, believe it or not, really, really react strongly to have any kind of branding in here. So you can actually put in your own branding here. Now, obviously, because this is our product, we're going to put welcome to Link2calendar, part whatever, and that's going to be displayed up here with your logo, okay? But if you wanted something a little bit more, on point, a little bit more pithy, then you can put something like, your time is mine, give it to me now. And let's see how that gets displayed. And that's all, and that will be what you've got right there. Okay, nice and simple. So if you want to have something that's short and pithy, I don't recommend something quite that aggressive, then you can do so. Now, let me just put this back. So I'm playing with live ammo here. I don't want people seeing that. Okay, now, if you want, and I get asked this, so I'm just going to tell people, if you want to have, create some kind of emphasis in here, and you want to put in italics, or you want to put in bold, or let's say you want to put in center, you want to center some text, and you try to use HTML code, you cannot do it in here. So if let's say that you want to put in, let's say, you want to emphasize linktivity, very small bit of code, boom, it's going to blow up, okay? So can't do that. Let me go back here. Okay, and it's scrubbed it out. Okay, so this next box is the answer page. We saw that with the ICS. If you want to have something that provides a bit more description to that person's point about either displaying the calendar information in there, or what do you want to do with if that person cancels, you can put in some disclaimer text here. And put in, if for any reason this appointment doesn't work for you, please call such and such to cancel, or please email me here to cancel or to reschedule. So this is an area where you can resurface or surface some kind of cancellation information. Okay, so I hope that that is useful. Okay, so we've got this, and then here's another area where we can put in, a specific feature for the a specific image for the calendar. Okay, and if you have another one, you can just select whatever you like here. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Save changes, and you can see that my expiry date is constantly being displayed down here. Okay, now let's go on to calendar. Now, if we go through here, some of this stuff is pretty self-evident. You've got your day pickers. Obviously, we talked about the groomers. Groomers may have weekend hours. This is where you can surface it. If your hours are, you know, other than 9 to 5, this is where you would adjust it. Okay. Now, this next one I get asked about quite a bit. Um, Number of months in the future. Now, this was something that when we first introduced this, and this product has gone through several iterations over the last 3 years, we realized that if we give people access to our calendar too far in the future, we're losing control of being able to book for vacations or things like that. Can you imagine, like at this point, I want to book a week in the summer, and I've got someone that's booked a 30-minute call, and now I've got to cancel it because I want to book something at the end of June. Okay, so that's why we put this kind of control so people can't book too far in the future and possibly muck up something else. Okay, now the other availability options allow meetings to be scheduled for the current date. This is something that we realized was pretty important because someone can really book a meeting with, as you see how fast the API works, someone can book a meeting with you in 15 minutes. Okay, so let's say that, it's right now it's 3:41. My next availability is at 4 o'clock. I can have someone book a meeting with me at 4 o'clock. I may not even notice that. I might not check my email. I might not check my calendar, and I can miss it through no fault of my own. So this is where we've presented the option where you can clear the option to allow people to book in the same day. Okay. Now, the blacklists. Now, I had someone ask me today, what if you have different availabilities each day? So let's say you work on on Mondays from let's say noon to 5, and then Tuesdays you've got different hours, a different time block. Maybe you work from 9 to 3 or something like that. We don't have the ability to set different hours per day. But what you can do is basically open it up. So this is the earliest, and this is the latest, and then you can use blacklists to block out the time so people can't book in times where you're not available. Okay, so let's see how that works. I click on Add. Now, I've got, let's say I want to book a one-time thing. So this would be my vacation in June. I can put in cottage trip, okay? I've got the option of recurrences to be either none, if it's a one-off, daily or weekly. Why isn't there monthly? Because we don't have a monthly calendar. Okay, so we've got a daily calendar, a weekly calendar. So this is what determines the recurrence. I'm going to say it's a one-off, and this allows me to set the from date, the to date, the from time, and the to time. Okay, so that's as simple it is. If I select daily, then the dates get erased, and I can set, the different times this way. Okay, and then weekly, this is where I would say I would want different times. So I can say here, Monday would be from this time to that time. And then I would create another one for my Tuesday availability. For Tuesday, I might have earlier hours, whichever. But this is where you can kind of toggle it, okay, and have, because quite frankly, Act is going to display when you're available. You may not have anything assigned when you're not working those hours. So you want to make sure that people can't book times that you don't intend to work. Okay, so this is where you can kind of toggle it from day to day. I thought that was an interesting question I hadn't considered, but blacklists are an effective tool in managing that. Okay, then anytime you make these changes, in every section you've got to click on save for them to apply. So I click on save. Okay, and now I'm going to click on appointments. So this is where you get into some of the real nuts and bolts of what's being displayed on the calendar. So I indicated, actually, you know what? I said something incorrect. I apologize. I said earlier that you can pick 1, 2, or 3. I apologize. You can pick 1 or 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I misspoke earlier, so just make note of that. Okay, so you don't have the option of picking 2. It's either 1, 2, or 3. But actually, that's something that I think we should be able to easily adjust. I'll ask the developer if we can make that a pick list. Okay. Okay, so the meeting blocks, obviously, if it should be 30, 60, 45, something that's easily divisible in the day. This is where you would set your time blocks. Or the meeting durations. This is where you would allow people to multi-select. If you clear this, they will only have the ability to book one meeting at a time, okay, which might be tedious if they have to book for larger time blocks. Now, meeting buffer, what is that? Well, I personally can't stand having meetings booked back to back to back, okay? So this meeting is going to run till 4 o'clock. It would drive me crazy if I had someone book something with me at precisely 4 o'clock, because I may want to have a few minutes to prepare. I may want to have a few minutes to get a drink of water or something like that. So I may want to put in a 15-minute, okay, buffer, so that if my day is 30 minutes, okay, divided into 30 minutes, and my next availability was at 4 o'clock, me putting this in would push my next availability to 4:30. Okay, so this is something that I think gives people a little bit more control of their calendar. It doesn't leave them completely at the mercy of others. It's just to have that little bit of breathing room. Okay. Now, this is exactly what you think it is. When you create an appointment, you are writing to act, and that activity is going to have an alarm, okay, or not an alarm, and will have an advance notice. So if you set this and you set the alarm, this is how much notice you'll get. Okay. Now, I said earlier that you can set the activity types the moment you click on here. Now remember that initial delay when we logged in, there was 5-10 seconds delay. That's because the API was logging into your database, and this is where you can see the effect of it. So now you can see all the different custom activities that we have in our database. If we weren't logging in initially, you would immediately see that kind of delay while it logged in again. Okay, so now it's pulling from the database all your custom activities, and you can indicate what kind of activity types you want to make available for people to book. Okay. That's really reasonably straightforward, and that there isn't a right or wrong. That's going to be based on whatever your industry needs are. Okay, now location. Why did I put in a location? I showed you the ICS. ICS has to have some kind of location, so we added that field. So when the activity creates the ICS file, it knows to insert whatever is in here. Okay, there isn't a right answer, there isn't a wrong answer. I typically only allow people to book phone meetings with me, so I put in phone, so it just pre-populates that, so there isn't any error message when the ICS is being generated. Okay, and then the last thing is the required fields. So you can set here what fields people have to populate. I clear company because not everyone, there may be sole proprietors without a company name, so I don't make people just invent something. And then they may want to put in the appointment subject. It's up to them. If they want to put in the appointment details, me making it mandatory typically isn't going to make them fill it in, okay? If they want to enter it in, then they can, okay? So these are my mandatory fields. I click on save and my calendar is ready to display. Okay. Now, the one really cool thing that we added last year is Teams. So what is Teams about? Well, every single thing we have talked about here is about booking times with a single ACT user. Okay, and so we've surfaced a particular ACT user schedule. Everything is about that ACT user. You're booking the people that are logging into your calendar, even the calendar name, in my case, Ken Quigley, is identifying when Ken Quigley's availability. Okay, however, if someone is calling into my company or wants to book a time with my support team, my sales team, my admin team, they may not care who they're booking a time with. They just want the next available time. Okay, and they don't really care with whom. So they're going to say, I want to talk to someone in sales, and I'm going to go through all the next available times, and I'm going to pick who that is. So let's see what that looks like, because we've actually got this in our website. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to select Contact Us. Okay, and you can see here that we have got 4 teams that are displayed. Okay, and I'm going to imagine that I'm a user here. I'm going to click on the support team. Now it's again logging into the database. This can take a little bit longer because it's obviously retrieving the information of all the users. Okay, and now I can see that I've got 4 remaining available slots, but with whom? Let's click here. I can now see that Dia is available. He provides support in French. I can either call him, email him, or select. Craig provides HHC and ACT support, same thing. So this little bit of bio here allows the people, if they've got multiple choice, to say, okay, this person is the most appropriate based on the earliest possibility. So in this case, I want to book something with Nav. Okay, I can select this and it will go through the exact same features as we saw before in terms of a bookment appointment. You select it and it's going to go through all of that, confirmation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now to set this up, let's go back here. To set this up, I'm going to click on edit here for, let's go to the support team. Okay, so here's all the people on the support team. Now, if you want to add someone, okay, now in this particular case, I can remove Eric and I can remove Billy. Okay, now if I want to add someone, a couple of things have to happen. Firstly, they have to have a Linktivity account. Okay, so they have to have a Link2calendar account. Okay, it can be trial, but before that trial expires, if they want to be part of this team, they'll have to have a paid account. There is no extra cost to enable the team feature. Okay, so what you can do is you can have the you can just email the person here, send the invitation. If they accept it, they will be added here. Okay, one little caveat, and you can see here that we've sent the support manager an invitation, as well as the hosting manager, a couple of laggards if there ever were any,
Well,
invitation.
and the support manager is wondering why his name isn't in the display name.
Well, maybe if he accepted the invitation, but right now he can't judge. Okay, so if you're dealing with managers like I have to deal with, and if you do, accept my condolences. What you can do is you can send the invite again, okay, and then maybe call them or Slack them or induce them with food or something like that, and maybe they'll respond, and then they'll be added to this team. Okay. On a more serious note, if they have a Linktivity account, it has to be the same API connection method as the rest of the team. For example, if you have everyone on the web API, okay, then everyone that's added to this team has to have their account set to use the web API. You cannot have mixed API connection methods. Okay, so that's really the only thing. If you get errors, that's likely what it's caused by. Okay, but that's how easily it works. You set it up and you can display everyone's availability amongst those that actually accepted the invite, and that will allow your customers to more easily pick anyone that's at the earliest possible availability, and that's really going to convey well what you're trying to deliver in a customer experience, because one person may not be available, the other one is. They're not going to care, especially for tech support. Tech support, they really don't care the name, just help me. Okay, and this is something that is really, really going to be welcome. Same thing, and I see this with, again, the groomers. Okay, I can book an appointment next time. I really don't care if it's Sally or Wendy or whomever. Okay, I care about what's the next available time. If I do care, then I can drill down further and filter by the username. But in most cases, just like, when can I get the next appointment? Okay. And that is pretty much it for the appointment booking. The last